Hi, welcome to the gazgeber podcast. I'm Guy Nevlock from Goal.com International, and I'll be looking back at the weekend games in the Bundesliga and a few of the major stories in Germany. We're going to begin with the game between Schalke 04 and Hamburger SV, which ended 1-0 to the visitors, thanks to the goal from Ruud van Nistelrooy. Going into the game, there were doubts over the future of the Dutchman. Did he walk out of the team hotel? Didn't he walk out of the team hotel? Who knows? Either way, Hamburg were right to stand their ground and tell Real Madrid that Van Nistelrooy is not for sale. The fact is that Jose Mourinho or the club splurged on attacking midfielders. They left the squad short up front, and once Higuain's injury became a real problem with Benzema not fitting in, they came calling back to Van Nistelrooy. There's an element of controversy about Van Nistelrooy's winner, but on the balance of the play over the 90 minutes, I think Hamburg deserved the 3 points. Schalke were unfortunately as flat as a pancake. Dorado was left out, and they lacked unpredictability in the attack. They always went to their plan A, which is get it to Farfan down the right wing, but he wasn't as effective as usual without Uchida outside him. Uchida, who of course is on Asia Cup duty. The decision from Magath to extend the winter training camp in Balek in Turkey to 11 days backfired, as the team only landed in Dusseldorf 24 hours before the game. And as a result of the defeat, Magath has now written off hopes for European football, so a spot in the top five, although they could still win the Pokal, who knows. Interestingly, Magath has also been commenting on mercenaries in football in light of the Demba Ba situation, and he feels that they should face greater sanctions and the contract should be rewritten, given obligations to both parties and appropriate compensation for non-performance. Well, good luck, Felix. Well intentioned, but I can't see it coming in anytime soon. As for HSV, they look set to make a double swoop from the Deutsche Fußballbund, bringing in Matthias Sammer as new sporting director and Horst Rubisch. Also in the backroom staff, who's of course a club legend with 96 goals for the Rothosen. It would be a superb move for Hamburg, and of course it would make the highly advantageous for them when looking to recruit young players. Speaking of young players, Julian Draxler, the attacking midfielder for Schalke, normally of the Schalke under 19 team, became the fourth youngest Bundesliga debutant after Nuri Sahin, Jürgen Friedel, and Ibrahim Tanko, and also the youngest in Schalke's history. And now we go on to Friday night's match, which saw the Tabellenführer Borussia Dortmund travel to Bayer Leverkusen and 3-1 for the BVB. And it was a very interesting encounter indeed. To kick off the Rückrunde, there was no Shinji Kagawa for Dortmund, and Lucas Barrios wasn't quite 100% fit after virus. Added to which, Leverkusen had returning players. Stefan Kiesling is back, and Michael Ballack, of course. Lars Bender was a surprising pick over Arturo Vidal in the midfield from Juventus, and Mario Götze came in for Kagawa. Götze was quite magnificent, as has been well documented in the media. He relished playing in the number 10 role, and he took his finish superbly. And that was the one area of concern that I certainly had. Would he be as torgefährlich, if you like, as Kagawa, who's got 8 goals in the Bundesliga this season? And he proved that he is. Kevin Grosskreutz scored 2 goals, and that was a big boost for him. I often feel that he's flattered to deceive this season over on the left-hand side. But there was a real unsung hero in Lucas Piszczek, whose throw-ins caused havoc in the Leverkusen defence. Manuel Friedrich had a nightmare in the Leverkusen backline alongside Stefan Reinhardt, and he failed to justify the faith placed in him by Juventus. Interestingly, there are rumours today that Tankis might extend his contract, which runs out at the end of the season, by 1 year, and then Robin Dutt from Freiburg, Dutt should I say, would take the helm. Dutt is from Köln, so he knows the area, and he's worked wonders with the Breisgau Brasiliana in the Bundesliga over the last season and a half. More immediate matters, Leverkusen, the Werkself, played a friendly match today against Bochum. They won 3-0 with the ignored Michael Ballack, not used in the triple substitution against Dortmund, scoring a goal and setting up another. He says he could play with Vidal, but you look at the performances of Vidal and Simon Rolfes, who's the club captain, and I don't see how Ballack can get into the team. And of course, there's Lars Bender, as well, who didn't do too badly against Dortmund. Unfortunately, I suspect other issues, shall we say, may come into the equation. On to the game featuring their Rekordmeister, FC Bayern München, and their trip to Wolfsburg, which ended 1-1. It beat my quad for the weekend. Man City won, Arsenal won, Villarreal won. However, it compensated with its sheer excitement. There were two missed penalties from Philip Lahm and Grafit. Mario Gomez hit the bar, missed a great chance. Diego had a goal, wrongly disallowed in my opinion. There's a free goal for Thomas Müller, and the late equaliser from Sascha Ritter, who was set up by Wolfsburg's new skipper, Marcel Schaefer. It prolongs McLaren's state of execution. How much longer he will have, it's difficult to tell at this moment exactly, but probably if they don't get at least one win from the next two games against Dortmund and Mainz, I think Coach Stevens might be returning to the Bundesliga. Although, should he return to Germany, it will probably be without Eddie Achterberg, as they had a major falling out in Salzburg today. The two came to blows, and Achterberg was sent home. Back to the Bundesliga, the German Bundesliga. You'd think that Bayern were beating humble pie. They built themselves up in the winter break, saying, yeah, we can still win the title. And Van Gaal, even after the game, says that they can take 48 points from the remaining 16 fixtures. Not with Schweinsteiger at 10, they won't. Schweinsteiger needs to be used in double X. He didn't have a great game at 10, and he also blundered for the Wolfsburg equaliser. The Wolves will take encouragement from the spirit they showed, coming back from one goal down against the team as good as Bayern. And they finally got to witness their most significant off-season acquisition in the flesh, Arne Friedrich. He was outstanding, and despite his advancing years, at 2 million, he looks an absolute steal. The big story for Bayern was, of course, the first game for Thomas Kraft as the first choice goalkeeper ahead of Hans-Jürgen Butt. And on the evidence of this one game at least, Louis van Gaal, who of course gave the chances to Victor Valdez and Edwin van der Sar and Sergio Romero, he knows more about how to handle goalkeepers than, well, only Ollie Kahn and Jens Lehmann. It's probably the first time those two had been in agreement with each other, but Kraft made some excellent saves, including that penalty save from Grafit, where he tipped it onto the crossbar. I think it might well be that we'll see Kraft for the rest of the season. As for the next game, that's Werder Bremen and Hoffenheim. Bremen, of course, major underachievers this season. We all know in times of trouble, you need a warrior to come to the rescue, someone who will fight tooth and nail, someone with great leadership qualities. It also helps if they have a belter of a right foot on them. Marco Marin, sensing that Bremen had this figure in the shape of Thorsten Frings, rolled the ball to the veteran in the second minute of stoppage time, and Bremen snatched the 3 points with a stunner from Frings. Didn't come long after Boris Vukcevic had cancelled out Gladio Pizarro's opener. Frank's future has been the subject of speculation today in the German media, but in the short term, he's an absolutely key figure for Thomas Schaaf's side. It was a defeat for the new Hoffenheim manager coach Marco Pizzaioli in his first game, although he did say after the match that he saw enough encouraging signs for the coming weeks. He can't console himself with the signing of Ryan Babel from Liverpool, who in my view was badly used at Anfield, and he will suit Hoffenheim down to the ground. He's strong, he's quick, he loves to carry the ball forward, he can come inside, he's a good shot on him, and I think that with getting first team action on a regular basis, you'll start to see the best of Ryan Babel, and you'll see why he was so sought after being the top scorer in that under 21 championships a few years ago. The next game is one of the two Sunday matches, the Adler Eintracht Frankfurt and Hanover. And I said in the blog last week that for the Roten to win away to BVB's most recent conquerors, they needed Moa Abdaloui and Didier Yakonen to be partnered up front, and both duly scored either side of Christian Schultz's header. I'd love to say that Mirko Slomka took even a tiny bit of notice of that, but somehow I highly doubt it. Probably though, because he was too busy pulling off another selectorial masterstroke in placing the goalkeeper, Florian Fromlovich, with the former Manchester United reserve, Ron Robert Zieler, whose save percentage was pretty good, 100%. And there's a team in Australia, I think, who could do with selectorial genius of Slonka after their recent travails in the Ashes. Well, credit to Slonka, he's not only rebuilt his own reputation after his departure from Schalke, but also a club who were devastated by the tragic suicide of Robert Enke, and after 18 matches, Hanover are in second place in the table. Not bad for a side tipped by a not insignificant amount of people to be relegated this season. The next match is Stuttgart and Mainz. Stuttgart eked out a 1-0 win to give Bruno Labbadia his first win in his fourth game in charge, all four coming at home incidentally. If you look at the scoreboard journalistique, as Guadrianza would say, you would think that Martin Harnik had won the game, and yes, he scored the winner, but it was a pretty bad mistake from Zabavnik, who, under pressure from Pavel Pogrebniak, diverted the ball into the path of the Austrian, who got his fifth of the campaign. Incidentally, the Schwaben were also grateful to important goal line clearances from Molinaro and Funk. And after the match, Thomas Tuchel couldn't believe that Dino Funfer had lost the game. Mainz, they're not going to repeat the magic form of earlier in the season, but I still think they have enough about them to finish in the top 5 or 6, and I don't see a dramatic collapse a la Hoffenheim of 2 years ago. The next match was a massive game for Mikel Frontsek. There was a lot of pressure on the Gladbach manager going into the game in Nuremberg, but the former Manchester City defender proved his coaching mettle. He dropped Michael Bradley, who's been the subject of interest from Sunderland, who have a bit of money to spend after the sale of Darren Bent to Aston Villa, and he brought in Roman Neustädter in the midfield, and it worked a treat because Neustädter scored what was to be the winning goal after a fantastic assist from one of Gladbach's trio of new signings, Mike Hanke. However, imagine the pressure that Frontsek was experiencing when Javier Pinola stood behind the ball. With a late penalty for Nuremberg would have given their club a point. However, Logan Bailly is no longer in goal. It's now Christian Heimerod, and he was the hero for Die Fohlen. It's the first step forward in their battle for survival. As for Dieter Hecken's men, they hope to arrest any potential slide down the table, and they'll take consolation from the fact that for long periods they had the better of the game. However, they lacked the cutting edge in attack. On to the game between St. Pauli and Freiburg. This game began in sensational fashion as the top scorer in the Bundesliga, Papis Demba Cisse, actually missed a penalty after 11 minutes. And it's the first time this century that 4 penalties have been missed on the same day in the Bundesliga. Marius Ebers then put Pauli ahead with a header 2 minutes later, before Cisse refound a scoring touch after the hour with the equaliser. One of the very canny signings from Holger Stanislavski, Gerald Asamoah restored the Pauli lead, but much to the coach's frustration, Cisse equalised for a second time as he raced onto a long clearance from Oliver Baumann, who's of course deputising for Simon Pouplan, and Cisse's goal actually came barely a minute after he kept the side in the game with a goal line clearance to deny Carlos Zambrano. On such margins can seasons turn, and who knows, after 34 matches, it could prove to be a critical moment. Since the match, both teams have been hit by rather worrying injury news. Their respective number 9s, Ebers and Cisse, have been ruled out with injury. Ebers suffered an abdominal strain and Cisse an adductor injury. Cisse will be out for 2 to 3 weeks. I wouldn't have the alarm bells ringing yet for Freiburg. Stefan Reisinger has done well when he's come in as a deputy for Cisse, and they've a very well drilled unit. They should fancy the chances of 3 points against Nuremberg next week. On to the final game now, and as expected, Erste FC Köln continued their run of no wins away to Kaiserslautern since 1989, when Christoph Daum was their coach. But they will be disappointed with the share of the spoils, given that they did lead to Lucas Podolski's first goal as the permanent captain, and they enjoyed a numerical advantage for almost an hour after Lakic's red card 6 minutes before the break. However, the Lautern fans create a wonderful atmosphere in the Fritz Walter Stadion, and on midfielder Jan Moravec proved a worthy replacement for the suspended Christian Tiffert, earning a point with his 51st minute equaliser, leaving Tuam with a lot of work to do in the relegation battle. That's all for now. I'll be back later in the week with a look ahead to the weekend's fixtures. In the meantime, enjoy the DFB Pokal encounters between Kickers Offenbach and Nuremberg and Koblenz Kaiserslautern. Thanks for listening, and until next time, auf Wiedersehen.